Hey everyone, and welcome to a second episode of Dawn of Man. I'm going to break this video up in two sections. The first one is going to be bug related that really impact the mechanics of the game, and it's primarily for the developers. The second half will be the pros, tips that I've learned from progression from start to finish. I've already reached the Iron Age. You can do it in about probably 40 hours, maybe less, now that I know some of the things I know. But two of the bugs that are really game breaking, happiness and morale, is based on a couple different factors: death and the workload. So if you have a lot of farms, your population does not like to work. They just don't. Now, I've built carts 50% of the population, and yet they'll still carry wood. You can see I've got all these carts, and none of them are empty, or they're not even being used. Now, if I actually click on an object and tell it to cut the object down, they'll use a cart. Now that'll send a cart. If I do a work area, and just with one person assigned, I'd say 8 times out of 10, it's gonna be a worker carrying the wood, and hence his morale's gonna drop. The second is the bridges. I've built bridges at all these locations, and yet I still see people crossing the water and dying of hypothermia, or they just take too long to get back. So those are really the two, I'd say, logic issues. The key one is the use of carts. And then the other is just some of the pathing issues. Some of the logic issues of people that are dying of the cold will go do other tasks and they won't get warm. And I've got, as you can see, 110 capacity. I've got plenty of room. You can place houses in strategic areas. They may or may not use them. So those are really it for the developers. They did add the additional camera views, which is nice. Definitely adds another enhancement feature for different views. You might ask why I have so many towers, even though these are the upgraded guard towers. It's because on hard difficulty, these raiders can two-shot a tower if they focus fire on one. So they're really just for backup and not very cosmetic to look at. So some of the tips, I'd say for the menu layout, the key things you want to have are your resource totals, and then also your ability to quickly call the alarm to rally everybody up and close the doors. Some of the other things I've learned, that if you set your population or your limits, so if I click on the ground and I go into manage and I go to limits, things like your clothing, always, death is just something that happens. You're gonna see it constantly, and it's not something you need to concern yourself about as long as you have a nice surplus. So what I did, these are all based on percentages, so 100% of bread production, and that probably needs to go to 100 too. So using grain, I got unlimited because I got fields everywhere. And that's also grain. If you run out of straw, you can use that to feed your livestock, which I'll get to later. You will never need to hunt again once you reach a certain stage of population based on stables. And we'll also talk about number of rebirth, the odds of getting all males or all females, and why you want to keep donkeys versus horses for transports. and at least 2 food sources. But anyway, so I do 125% of the population. That way, if you have mass people die on you and you don't get the clothing back, you can still get the you've still got a nice surplus of both the light and the cotton armor. If you're still doing leather, same thing. Another thing that I found out real quickly was that I wasn't able to produce enough leather. I had all these skins, and part of the problem is wrong one. Let me find it. In here in the canner, no, it's the racks. If you have all these rows of racks, they're going to be turning things into skin. That's really for light armor. And if you look up here, raw skin is used to convert to leather. So if you have got drying racks that are turning everything into light, it can't be used for leather. So what I did is I eliminated all the drying racks because I don't use leather or light skin for the lower end armor, or not armor, but clothing. So now I have a nice surplus of leather, and leather's used almost in everything. So that's tip number, I don't know if that was 2 or 3. The other thing is these totems. Those are good for morale. Also, your brewery is going to be an excellent source as long as you can keep enough in supply, which also I did find it, even though you grow rye, they'll still use grain to produce alcohol. I don't know if that's a bug or if that's working as intended. The water mill's nice, same thing. It just uses the surplus of grain and produces at a much faster rate than the mortar did. So I built these external areas. They don't need to be surrounded by walls. The raiders seem to never attack anything but people and animals. So if there's an animal out or somebody that's just lagging and gets caught up and overwhelmed, they'll get mowed down by the raiders. I've spread out my stockpiles, basically distributed by workload, close to trees. My refinery is close to, or the bloomery, sorry, is close to both the iron and the charcoal stockpiles. I have tried different strategic, and this isn't bad. I've had as many as 30 carts just dead here. But I tried moving things around so carts would continue to move. So that's the other tip. The other thing to talk about is animal population. So if you set over 15 to 20, and you need room for those animals, by the way, and you got to have food. You will get a nice ratio of male to female, and you won't have a population extinction because of disease, or just everything dying on any of your animals. So what they do is, if you have it at 25 or 20, they start to die off, and they'll actually butcher them automatically. And you won't need to go hunt. Now I still do sometimes, just if I see my food level up here gets like around 40, I will go send out, I basically just highlight a group of animals which you won't see right here at night. The other thing I forgot to mention to developers is lightning strikes. In the dead of winter, it can be snowing out, and a storm will come, and lightning will start killing villagers. I don't know if you meant that, but it is a thing, and it kind of is a little silly. I do look forward to the mod community and what they're able to do. I have seen some mods basically right now around language, and I tried some of the other modes, the difficulty, the challenges. There's a few in here. Let's save our progress. I'll show you. We'll save that, and then we'll go back out here. We'll quit. So in these, if you do a new game, once you get through that first one, you've got enough points to pretty much do any of these challenges. As you can see, there's a creative mode, and then free play. Now I did the Ancient Warriors because basically if you look at the description, I thought these were going to be like other factions that I could go attack. It's not the case. So I'm hoping somebody builds a mod where I can actually build up forces and go attack a neighboring village. The only thing this really does is it makes resources sparse, which isn't anything but another level of difficulty. So it's kind of deceiving on that part. We'll go back in here, make sure I covered everything. So I am hoping they come out with new content, DLC, adding some more. This is really a lot of fun. I mean, I can't tell you enough how much fun I had playing this. And just the level of detail, they really didn't miss anything. There's just a few, like I said, logic bugs, but like resources, if you click on the pools, you can see how much mud, what the fish count is. See, this person is drinking instead of getting shelter. Now I can manage them. I can right click on that and say run. But it kind of gets old. So those are really only the things that the end game really provides. From here on out, as you can see, I don't get any more knowledge points anymore because I've unlocked everything. Now it's just sort of building things out, or try some of the other challenge modes. So I'd say, you know, with 60 hours in, I've already started some of the campaigns, and you can see the season changing. So I want you to watch this so you'll see all the unhappiness. As you can see, I've got horses being born, which are also meat. See all the stuff that's queued up to be butchered, which is going to give me plenty of meat. That was fun. I built that. I don't know if anybody spent the time to build this, but it's really great for morale. I didn't build it inside, but I built it over here where most of my population is now for housing. Because all the fields and all the work areas are primarily over here. But everybody I've talked to loves the game. They just want more. That's a good problem to have. So though, basically what they're doing is farming, and I made sure that all the 100% of my population has tools to farm. That helps with some of the disgruntled, unhappy people, because once they're unhappy, they move slow, they do less, they just sort of are completely unproductive. So it's really important to keep them happy, and having all these carts stacked up over here instead of, especially in gathering at the end of the season when they go to harvest, to use the carts. For God's sakes, man, I've got all these carts over here, use them. So I showed the attack at the intro. That's pretty much what you can expect. Sometimes it can be pretty intense. They are very aggressive. Combat goes real quick. And it's like I said in the first video, it's always at the worst possible time. You got all your people out farming, they're unhappy because they're overworked, and I get attacked. I can't get people back in here. I'm like, hurry, 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 get in my towers. So, I mean, those are the key features. Those are the tips that I learned. If anybody has any to share, just tag them in the video. And any other bugs, but those are the ones that I've had most people that in the forums where I've made a comment that they've experienced the same issue. Oh, one thing with the trader, as you start to progress through the ages, like I always buy all the iron she has. I sell all the bones. As you can see, as much butchering as I'm doing, I always have a nice pool of, oh no, don't sell those. But you can sell off like a couple of these earlier, like bronze, when you were from the Bronze Age. Just a couple. And that keeps your blacksmith making everything like copper. That's gotta go. And even though I've got nothing to buy, now I could replace some of those axes. But if you're still working towards your points, you don't want to buy this. You want to allow your smith to make them. But that was a good way for me to get my points up, and that's why I said now I think I could probably get to the Iron Age in a much quicker time just by forcing them to work. Where is my smith? See, I have so much, and there's nothing even in queue. So that's really it. That's the final video. I hope everybody that's bought the game, based on feedback from all the users, the positive reviews, it's a great game. It's a lot of fun to play. We just want more. And if they could fix those cart bugs like they did the camera views in just a couple of days, I would greatly appreciate it. It's going to make it easier, not for this one. It's not a problem now, but when you go to the difficult modes in the challenges, it becomes extremely important. Because you're getting attacked all the time, you're traveling, and I want them to use that transportation. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you found this useful, click the like. The first video I did had like 56 dislikes, and I mean, I'm glad you loved the video. But I mean, I'm just trying to help the developer and hype the game. Because if I'm excited about a game that definitely fits my genre, like this one, I want you to be excited too, especially if you like these building sims like I do. So that's it in a nutshell. Definitely check the game out if you haven't already. I do list in the more all the other indie streamers and people who provide indie coverage. Go check out some of their channels. I mean, they do a lot of video, just series after series on step by step. If that's what you're looking for, is how to walk through the game or spoilers, they're definitely channels to check out. And I've got two. One's a Twitter list, and then the other ones are featured on the page. It's free. They didn't pay to get on that site. They just asked. So thanks for watching, and until the next game and next series, I'll see you later. Take care.